Harford County did not invent the solar rush now mapped across its farms, ridges, and substations. Annapolis did. In the last hours of the 2025 General Assembly session, Maryland passed two leadership bills that together rewired who decides what gets built on Harford ground. The Next Generation Energy Act, House Bill 1035 and Senate Bill 937, and the Renewable Energy Certainty Act, House Bill 1036 and Senate Bill 931. Governor Wes Moore signed both on May 20th, 2025. Hartford's own Democratic slate in District 34, Senator Mary Dooley James and delegates Steve C. Johnson and Andre V. Johnson Jr. sat inside that majority. They were not bystanders. They were votes. What the Renewable Energy Certainty Act did, call it what it is, the Certainty Act was a statewide siting statute dressed as standards. It does not merely encourage solar, it limits what a county can refuse. Among the provisions that now sit on Harford's books, whether the county council likes them or not, statewide siting rules for solar and front-of-the-meter storage, setbacks, fencing, landscaping, stormwater, decommissioning, and notice, written in Annapolis, not Bel Air. Preemption that reaches down to projects as small as 1 megawatt. Counties may adopt weaker rules. They may not adopt stronger ones for qualifying projects. A ban on bans. Local governments cannot prohibit qualifying solar or storage development. Projects under 5 megawatts are to be processed as a permitted use. A new distributed generation certificate of public convenience and necessity for community solar between 2 and 5 megawatts outside municipal corporations, a state certificate with the force of a full CPCN, and a faster path once the Public Service Commission opens that window, expected in 2027. Until then, those projects still go through the Commission. A 5% cap on solar inside priority preservation areas. Advocates sold that number as farmland protection. 5% of a preservation map is still a lot of Harford dirt when the pipeline is already 26 projects deep. Maryland Association of Counties started opposed and moved to neutral only after amendments. The State Farm Bureau opposed the bill. Rural counties said they were not at the drafting table. The House Republican caucus asked Moore to veto it. He signed it. A referendum effort against the Certainty Act died for lack of signatures in June 2025. The law stayed. What that looks like in Harford, August 2026. This week, the county put a solar and battery tracker on the planning and zoning site because residents can no longer keep score by rumor. As of this week, 26 active projects, 25 solar, 1 battery. Density in the southeast between Bel Air, Aberdeen, and Havre de Grace, and north toward Jarrettsville. 1 building permit approved. A 30-megawatt array at 2000 Calvary Road in Bel Air. 10 small solar proposals under county review. 14 larger solar projects and the battery facility under Public Service Commission review. That is not a hypothetical. That is the Certainty Act working as designed. The state's ability to approve or deny certain projects and to override local zoning on smaller solar is the 2025 law. Moore backed it specifically so counties could not use overly restrictive zoning to stop projects that meet state guidelines. Neighbors in Street, Federal Hill, Dove Hill, Calvary Road, Dorothy Avenue, and the Deer Creek Corridor already know the rest. Community solar pitches, view shed fights, farmland coming out of production, and public hearings that feel like they are happening after the real decision has left the county. What the Next Generation Energy Act did. The Next Generation Energy Act was the companion pile driver. It created an expedited certificate of public convenience and necessity track, 295 days after an application is complete, for up to 10 dispatchable generation and large capacity resource projects. That language is how a new gas plant gets a fast lane. Constellation used it. The company already runs the 404 megawatt Perryman generating station in Aberdeen. It filed for new gas-fired capacity on land it owns in the Perryman area. In December 2025, the Public Service Commission cleared Constellation's proposals for that expedited review. Pipeline cost to get gas to the site has been estimated around $800 million. Perryman residents who spent years fighting warehouses now face a power plant docket on the same peninsula. The same act ordered the commission to procure up to 1,600 megawatts of transmission-connected battery storage, 800 megawatts in 2026, and 800 in 2027. That is how a 500 megawatt proposal called Oystercatcher landed next to BGE's Conestone substation in northwestern Harford, on a forested hillside along Deer Creek. Residents and county officials told the commission in July 2026 the site is a poor fit. Fire risk, contamination pathways, a tributary of the Susquehanna, Norrisville Elementary nearby. The developer says the array would sit at least 600 feet from the water and leave most of 70 acres forested. The statute that put the procurement on the calendar is the Next Generation Energy Act. The act also pulled roughly $200 million from the Strategic Energy Investment Fund for 2 rounds of household rebates, about $80 on average, and stripped trash incineration out of the renewable portfolio standard. Those pieces got the applause. The fast track generation, the nuclear procurement language, and the storage mandate are what put steel and concrete on Harford parcels. The 2026 Utility Relief Act later extended and rewrote pieces of that framework. The original 2025 deal is what opened the gate. Where James and the two Johnsons sat, Senator Mary Doolany James represents Senate District 34. Delegates Steve C. Johnson and Andre V. Johnson Jr. represent House District 34A. All three are Democrats. All three are Harford's Annapolis majority in that district. The Next Generation Energy Act passed the House on third reading 96-40 on March 22, 2025, with Democrats almost unanimously yes and Republicans almost unanimously no. Steve Johnson is recorded yes. Andre Johnson votes with that same Democratic bloc. The Certainty Act cleared the House 97-40 on April 5, 2025, and the Senate 35-11 and 33-10 on its readings. James voted with Senate leadership on the energy package. These were not obscure local bills that slipped past a busy desk. They were the session's energy package. Leadership vehicles, joint hearings, more than 100 witnesses, floor amendments from rural delegates that were tabled. A yes vote was a choice to let the Public Service Commission and statewide siting language outrank Harford's comprehensive plan, agricultural zoning, and the neighbors who show up at Bond Street. James and both Johnsons are on the 2026 ballot. That is the accountability calendar. Where the Sierra Club sat, the Maryland Sierra Club did not write the gas plant language. It opposed the Next Generation Energy Act's fast track for gas-fired generation and its nuclear incentives, and said so in April 2025 when the package passed. It did not oppose the solar preemption. The club's session recap listed reducing unwarranted barriers to solar siting, House Bill 1036 and Senate Bill 931, among the helpful bills that passed. Chesapeake Climate Action Network called the Certainty Act a victory that fast-tracked solar and protected farmland with the 5% priority preservation area cap. The Sierra Club later backed 2026 follow-ons such as the Affordable Solar Act to push still more utility-scale and rooftop solar. That is the split that matters in Harford. Statewide Greens will fight a gas turbine in Perryman and still treat a county's attempt to keep arrays off productive fields and scenic ridges as an unwarranted barrier. The Certainty Act is their tool. The Next Generation Act's battery mandate is their other tool. Both now have addresses in this county. The bill they did not get, the Energy Resource Adequacy and Planning Act, was vetoed by Moore and then enacted by veto override in the December 2025 special session. Sierra Club asked for that override. The planning office that bill creates will sit on top of the same siting machine. What Harford is left holding? Harford already had a development envelope fight. It already had warehouse traffic in Perryman. It already had residents tracking transmission and data center load. What 2025 added is a legal structure in which a solar developer who meets Annapolis's template can treat county zoning as a speed bump, not a stop sign. A 2 to 5 megawatt community array can be headed for a state certificate designed to move faster than a full CPCN. A 500 megawatt battery can be justified as a statutory procurement, not a local land use decision. A gas plant at Perryman can claim the expedited clock the General Assembly wrote. The county tracker is a confession. When you need a public map of 26 energy projects, local government is no longer the principal permitter. It is the scorekeeper. James, Steve Johnson, and Andre Johnson can say they voted for rebates, incinerator reform, and certainty. Sierra Club can say it opposed the gas and backed the solar rules. None of that changes the acreage. Harford's next generation of fields, creek valleys, and ridge lines is now an input to someone else's Energy Act. The people who live next to those parcels did not write those acts. Their senator and their two delegates helped pass them. Follow me on X at OhlendorfT15425. If you find value in this material and wish to help defray the cost of bringing it to you, please visit buymeacoffee.com/TOhlendorf61. This is the Harford Chronicle.